Welcome to Overthinking episode 14, where we take fun, interesting ideas, overanalyze them, and run them to their logical conclusions. All in the name of exploration, education, and most importantly, entertainment.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Devin.
And we don't claim to be experts in any of the topics discussed here today. We simply find these ideas interesting as we hash them out in real time. Get ready to join us on this exciting, fun, and crazy ride to nowhere.
This week, we are hanging out with Captain Nemo and Morpheus at Terry's Sunken Galen, finishing off a lovely pint of Guinness. Bonus points if you can name all the pop culture references that I just used.
Captain Nemo, that's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yes.
Morpheus is Matrix.
Yes.
Terry's Sunken Galleon.
Galleon, yeah.
Is that a SpongeBob thing?
No.
The Pirates of the Caribbean thing?
No, good. Those are good guesses.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like sunken things. Terry. All I can think of Terry is the Smash Bros character. Guinness, obviously, is a disgusting beverage that people who think they like beer drink. No, people who want to think that they like beer drink.
Where do most people who appreciate Guinness come from?
America. I don't know. Ireland. I don't know. I don't drink it. I know two people who like it. They say the stuff in Ireland's better. Whatever. We don't care. You travel. Guinness isn't a pop culture reference, is it?
Guinness on its own isn't. No.
Yeah, no.
I was trying to hint you towards the actual reference that's in there, but.
Oh, is it an Irish thing? Terry Sunken Galleon?
No. Terry's Sunken Gallon. You were on kind of good guesses when you were like SpongeBob, maybe Pirates of the Caribbean. Those
what's it? Treasure Island?
Another good guess, but no. I wish I had it. That would have been such a cool.
Yeah, that would have been.
To get like 20,000 Leagues and Treasure Island in the same.
Right.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool. Well, hey.
I would have seemed to act like I was actually cultured.
What is it? What's Terry's Sunken Galleon?
Terry's Sunken Galleon is it's the only canonical location that Aquaman ever goes to as a bar.
Oh, see, Aquaman sucks, so I wouldn't know. Dude,
There's also, that's 3. There's one more pop culture reference in there.
There is?
Yep.
The finishing a lovely pint of Guinness, that's the...
Yeah, that's a quote.
Wait! I know this. Oh no, I'm going to spend the rest of the episode trying to figure this out. This is not good. I'm so distracted right now. I'm not even paying... I don't even know what
It's a not notable quote from a very notable movie.
I know. No, I know this. I know this. I can hear the voice in my head. I'm gonna think about this forever, and we just need to move on.
So do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
do you want to
just tell me. No, just tell me.
Okay. It's from Kingsman.
Dude, Kingsman.
In the bar where Harry and Eggsy first sit down and talk.
Yeah.
When the group of guys comes up and gives Eggsy a hard time. Mm-hmm. Harry says something to the effect of, "Gentlemen, I've had a rather rough day, and whatever your issues are with Eggsy, and I'm sure they're well-founded, can they wait until after I've enjoyed this lovely pint of Guinness?"
Yeah, I knew it was like a British thing. It's lovely, like a lovely pint. I'm like, that's such a British thing. And I was racking my brain like, what British things? Like Doctor Who? No. Funny, I don't think there's any mentions of alcohol in Doctor Who or drugs.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were right on that.
That's really funny. I just realized that.
The
characters are never drinking.
We really don't know about the old ones, the originals.
Well, the original ones. I've actually watched some of the original ones.
Most of them are lost though.
I know. I think I'm the one who told you that.
I don't know who told me that.
I'm pretty sure I did.
I know that for very long, but
yeah. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it. But anyway, thanks, Devin. That was a really, really well thought out intro. Is that where you're spending like the 20 minutes I was waiting for you?
That took like 10.
I was like, because you're like almost. I'm like, okay. He's probably not putting the finishing touches on his thing he's about to talk about because he just say, whatever, it's time. I'm just gonna talk about it. I was like, it's probably not that.
It was actually that when I said almost.
Oh really?
Actually. Yeah.
Okay. It must be something actually thought out then.
Yeah, it took way more time than I thought it would.
Okay. But then I was like, maybe it's something...
that probably took 10 minutes to write because I was going for a theme, and as I wrote it out, I'll talk through it because it was kind of interesting. Like
Okay.
the only reference I knew I wanted to make when I started was Captain Nemo.
Okay.
So I started with Captain Nemo, and then as I'm writing it, I'm thinking like I want to hang out with Captain Nemo at a bar. A bar needs to have a canonical theme. Wait a minute, Aquaman, like his first scene in his movie was in a bar. What bar was that? So I went and I
Oh,
looked
that's
into
what that bar was called? Dude, I hated that movie. I
Well,
couldn't.
what I found out just from a quick Google search was that Terry's
Oh, okay.
Sunken Galen is
Oh, yeah.
the only canonical bar that Aquaman goes to. So according to a quick Google search, and then as I'm writing that, I'm like, wait, I don't want to be just with Captain Nemo, but I don't want to be hanging out with Aquaman either because that's too theme relevant. Throw someone random in there. And then I also found out that Aquaman, like in that movie, was drinking Guinness, and I just remembered. I was like, okay, actually, there's someone way cooler who drinks Guinness in a movie.
That's hilarious that, yeah.
And then
You
when I was
remember
done, I was
that
like, I put
information.
so much in here.
Yeah, I know. It's impressive. It really is. Devin, you have a lovely mug.
Oh yeah, I do.
I just realized. I'm like, speaking of being British, you have a lovely mug. You have a lovely mug of something.
My
What do you-
girlfriend says so as well. Actually, dietary constraints. I'm not supposed to drink coffee anymore.
Right.
This is my second cup of coffee this week, so I'm doing pretty
It's
good.
like 7:30.
Yeah.
Does that not
but-
affect your sleep?
No, not at all. I have ADHD, so any upper works as a
yeah, that's
downer.
right. I always forget.
Mhm.
Because like coffee after like 3 p.m. It affects my sleep.
Oh, well, actually, if I drink enough coffee, it just puts me to sleep.
Yeah, that's right. I always forget about that. You know, some people say that you know, like coffee actually makes me sleepy. I'm the other way around. No, it's a joke, and I can't remember how it goes. So that's embarrassing. That's gonna end up on the show notes, even though I'm writing them. Devin, so you're
Well, you gotta be as unbiased as you can be, and then
yeah.
when you're as
but I
unbiased
mean,
as
were
you
you
can be-
unbiased?
No. When you're as unbiased as you can be, then the biases that remain are just more entertaining to
True.
you personally.
Oh, wait. You want you want to know what
'Cause
I'm?
I tried to take equal jabs and then just
You
never
did.
did.
Yeah. In your own words, in the show notes, I believe you said, is because there's less to make fun of you, less things to make fun of about you. But you want to know what I'm
One
drinking?
day you're gonna write that into a show note too and say there's less things to make fun of.
Oh,
than
I'm writing
before.
into this one. You want to know what I'm drinking? It's
Yeah, what are you drinking? I haven't seen you drink anything.
well, I'm saving. I didn't want you to
Okay,
be
what are you
spoiled.
drinking? What are
Okay,
you
here it
drinking?
is.
It's water. He's drinking water in a nice glass.
It's not just water though.
You've
this
done
is-
this to us before. You tricked us.
Wait, can you see that? Perrier.
Perrier? Okay.
The reason I'm drinking this because 4th of July is tomorrow. That's when we're recording this. And we're having a family friend over who is very successful, very well off. And he only drinks Perrier water.
So it is water.
Yeah, it's sparkling water.
I called it. I said he's drinking water
Yep.
in a fancy glass.
Yep,
And you
and I
said,
just-
no, it's not just water.
I just wanted
it's
to
totally just
see if
water.
I get the ASMR of the bubbles. Yeah. You like that?
You're going to have to put it into the After Effects. It's because we didn't hear the bubbles.
Oh, you didn't? Now I have to do effects. Anyway, Devin, do you have a secrets uncovered?
I do.
Oh, wait,
It
wait,
is
wait,
my-
wait, wait, we gotta wait. Okay, I was getting that up. Okay. Do you have a secrets uncovered?
I do.
Okay, now let's go into the basement, pull out the old key, rumble around with the old flashlight, and open the mystery box of secrets uncovered. Ta-da!
You didn't make any noises. It was close.
I would really wanted to. You don't understand how hard it is for me not to make the sound effects. And also,
I do too because I just watched your face.
and also how hard it is for me to not sing the intro to our thing. The bum ba-da-da-dum.
You should do it.
Dum. I
You
should.
should
Just like
just
while
do
you're
it.
talking. Just,
Yep.
and then just not put it in that day and just have it be me.
Yes. So we plan that, and I can just say the whole intro one day, and you can do the
Dum.
music.
Ba-da-da-dum. Dum.
It's really cool.
I've realized. Oh, this will be my secret. Oh, you want to go first? I mean,
Sure. It's my favorite Secrets Uncovered that I've ever had because it is just so epic. Okay, so Luke, I have a question for you.
oh no.
Do you know what the word abbreviation means?
It means to shorten.
To shorten. Okay. So this is just like, have you ever written out abbreviation? The word. Have you ever written it?
No.
It is like a crazy long word.
It is, which is
It's
funny.
it's a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. That's your favorite secrets uncovered. Yo, hey, you ever realize you're just a bad like open mic comic? You realize abbreviations so long? Like, what's up with that? Crazy, right?
You know, it's funny that you're calling it a bad open mic comic, but you laughed. So.
Because if I didn't know you, I'd just be like, who's this fool? That's a good secret uncovered.
Thank you.
I kind of had one, and then I decided to make it more of my topic, and then I flip-flopped around. I also didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this since we were planning this like this morning. And I was helping someone move for 5 hours, which was always rewarding. But I guess I don't know. It's really funny to me how theme music sticks in my head. Like there's this song this YouTube channel has been playing before every video, and it's basically like their merch plug, and it's like da na 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 na. There's merch in the store, and I've just had that on in my head on repeat, and I love it, and I'm not at all annoyed by it, and I realize how much I love theme music. I just any theme, I just absolutely love.
Actually, my favorite podcast that I listen to for the last. It's been running for 10 years, and for the last almost year solid now, they abandoned their intro music.
Oh yeah.
And I've basically gotten to the point where I'm like, I have to write in about this because I don't think I can keep listening without it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's such a huge thing. And it was also funny. I also mentioned that because theme music, on our for our Bad Cold Outreach, or I guess for our videos that we've been filming. For the business,
for our YouTube channel,
for the other thing that we've been doing, around marketing.
You guys
stuff.
should check it out.
I guess I don't know.
Shameless plug.
Sure, I'll put a link in the show notes for me to read.
At like 6 minutes in or whatever we're at.
Yeah, I don't know. We're so far in.
6T.
You chose. So I had an intro that I found, I saved. And I used in one of the videos in our Bad Cold Outreach series, which we're filming after this, right? And I used it in the intro. I was like, this is a really cool song to use as our theme song for every video that we have, right?
Is it in all of them, or is it only in one of them?
It's only in one of them, I think.
Which one?
I think it's number 2. It might be number 2 or number 3.
I want to check it out.
But anyway, that's beside the point. Is you have an intro that you created as with fancy graphics, with the song. The songs are almost identical. Like they're so similar. And it was hilarious to me that we chose like independently without talking to either of us about even having a theme song. We chose almost the completely same song. And I found that very hilarious because that just shows like I was like, yeah, we're on the same page about what this is.
We're gonna get copyright struck so hard.
Well, I mean, I'm not because I chose a song that I can use.
I chose a open source song.
Oh yeah, okay, good. We're not gonna accomplish right.
I just was like, what are the odds that we both pick a song that's like the same song independently, unless it's like a well-known song?
No, it's not the same song, but it's very similar. It's like the rock, like the dum, it's a very Peter McKinnon type of thing.
Being epic, over the top, epic and exciting.
Exactly.
Get you pumped for what I'm about to say.
Yep.
Kind of a thing, which
Exactly.
is totally different than my current tone.
Yeah, I know your current tone is completely monotone, which leads me to this new segment of our show, conspiracy theory.
Uh-oh.
I think half of Devin is a robot because I've never seen feel below his. I mean, not even your torso, like the middle of your belly. You know, like there. I've never seen below there.
It's like not even below my ribcage.
Yeah. So I think Devin's lower half is a robot. He's Darth Mauling it all up in there. And the fact that he is so calm during times like this is one more notch in the belt of proof.
You should do the Turner test on me. See if I pass the Turner test.
I don't know. I didn't know there was an
Or the
actual.
Turning test?
No, it's William Turning. Wait.
Yeah, is it Turner or Turning? I
Turn.
think it's Turning. I think I
Wait,
misspoke.
it's in a song, so I can sing it. Trust me.
It's
Go ahead,
Turning.
try to Turning. Test me. Yeah, that is such a good movie. Oh my gosh, with Benedict Cumberbatch playing him. Oh, that was
I don't even know what you're talking about, but I want to watch it.
the
I love
Enigma.
them.
It's called the Enigma Code or the Enigma Machine.
Okay. Watch party. We'll watch it. Like,
Oh yeah, we actually
next
can.
weekend.
It's I'll watch it again with you. Like I have no
nice.
problem.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's so yeah, Alan Turing. It's
Dude, Turning test me.
Yeah.
See, let's like prove yourself right or
Yeah.
wrong. Turning test me.
And I
Let's
think
go.
I don't.
And
I
I
don't
brought-
know.
I brought it up,
Wait,
so I already
how?
passed one of the
I don't.
tests.
I don't know how to. Okay, I don't know how to do it.
Actually, Luke, I haven't looked deeply, but I've looked several times and I can't find an actual Turning test.
Yeah, I don't think
and
there was.
So, well, I know like what the idea actually is historically, and like it's a real test, but I think it's intentionally not public because then you could just write a program that answers those questions.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not like history of the Turing test. Wait, okay, the Imitation Game. That's what it's called. Man, it's such an emotional movie. That and in the very similar vein of Beautiful Mind, are kind of. I mean, a similar vein. Not really, because that deals with a much more extreme thing. But man, just such a grabbing movie. It's so interesting about like cracking codes and like how he built a computer back then. Like he's like, this is a computer. I'm like, that's not a computer. Those are a bunch of gears and stuff. And he's like, no, this is a computer. So it's really interesting. Anyway, yeah, let's totally get a watch party in there. That sounds like fun.
Do it.
What are we talking about today? Do you want to go? Mine is probably, I don't know how long mine is gonna be, and I think mine will just adapt to how much time we have
We
left.
never know how long anything's gonna be. We just go until we're bored.
In case you didn't know, we planned this like this morning. So
No, you've already said that. They know because they've been listening.
unless I cut that part out for whatever reason.
You cut that part out just to make me sound stupid right now.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's what Luke has to do to have fuel in the show notes. Is he has to edit
Shut
things
up.
to make me look stupid.
Oh, also on the topic of movies, I finally found a Oh no, wait.
I'm talking all about movies today, by the way.
Wait, you are?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect. Well, this is a perfect. Wait, I'm gonna alley-oop you right now. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna try to yes and me, and we'll see how it works.
I finally found a Jim Carrey movie that I actively disliked.
Okay.
It's called The Cable Guy, and it's just bad. It's not funny. It's not well written. The story is boring and incomprehensible, and it ends in like the weirdest way. And it's just like I'm like, this is fine because I mean Jim Carrey is, I love him so much, and I'm like, and every movie he's in is either good, like it's like you're like, okay, it's a goofy comedy, right? You're like, no problem, right? Or it's great. And I finally found one of his movies that I was just watching it. I was like, why am I watching this? Like, it's just not, everything about this is awful. The acting, the other actors are bad. So yeah, I think it was earlier in his career too. He was younger. I still haven't watched Dumb and Dumber yet, though. That's next on my list. But speaking of movies, Devin, what do you have for us?
All right. So, question for you, Luke.
Yes.
Off the top of your head, don't look it up.
Okay.
How many movies do you think are in the MCU?
23.
Nice. Can you name them all?
Yeah. We're counting the Incredible Hulk, the first one. Is that technically in the MCU? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually the second movie in the MCU. It's not the first.
Oh no! I know the first one. It's not Fantastic Four, is it?
No, Fantastic Four
Yeah,
is
no,
not
okay.
in the MCU.
No, the first one in the MCU is No. I know this. No. I can't remember.
It's Iron Man.
No, Incredible Hulk was before Iron Man.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Incredible Hulk's about 6 months after.
Wait, seriously?
Mm-hmm. I thought the same thing you did, but I
I thought
just
Iron
looked
Man
it
was
up.
like 3 years after the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-mm. 6 months after.
Wow, you just blew
Or
my mind.
6
Okay,
months
yeah,
before.
obviously, I was thinking of an older Marvel movie that I thought might be in the MCU. There's a really funny movie. I'll tell you about it later. But okay, yeah. So Iron
Name
Man.
them all. Let's
Okay,
see.
Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Captain America. No, wait. The Captain America.
Oh, if you're
come
trying to
next?
go in order, you've already messed up. But keep going.
Iron Man 3 wasn't. I thought Iron Man. Oh, what? Wait. Fine. I'll just name them. I'll go in order because that's the best way for me to categorize it in my brain. Iron Man. So Iron Man 1, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, then Captain America?
So,
Or do you have the list? I mean, I assume you're checking.
I'm pulling the list back up so that I can get this
Okay.
right. So, like half of it's memory right now, but okay. So you said Iron Man?
Yeah, so Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, then Captain America? No, then
You
Thor.
missed one.
No, then Thor.
Thor.
Yep, Thor.
Oh, and by the way, because I just did pull it up, Iron Man was May 2008. Incredible Hulk was June 2008.
That's so weird. That's ridiculous to me on why they did that. You also, side note, do you know how they chose Iron Man to be the first movie? Do you know why they chose
No.
Iron Man?
No, I don't.
They had kids play with toys, and they picked the majority of what toy the kid liked playing with, and it was Iron Man.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay. So you said
Yeah.
Iron Man, Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, Iron Man 2, Thor, then Captain America,
Yep.
and then Avengers, the first Avengers, right?
Yep.
And then Iron Man 3,
Mm-hmm.
then Thor 2,
Yep.
then Captain America 2, Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Then it's Avengers, the next Avengers, right?
Nope.
Oh no, Ant-Man.
Nope.
No, Ant-Man? Wait, what? Wait, Thor. Wait, who's? I'm just going down the list. There's so many people. It wasn't Ant-Man?
Mm-mm.
Black Panther, no, that was after.
No.
Number 2. Captain America. Wait, Captain America, Thor. Who else is in? Avengers 2? Thor, Captain America. I said Iron Man 3.
You know, it's a very interesting tactic. It won't help you.
It won't? What?
No, because this movie's character is not in the second Avengers.
What? Oh! No, not. It's not Captain Marvel. No,
No.
she was after. Who? What is it?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy! I completely forgot about them. Oh no, there's so
then
many
you have
characters in
Avengers.
there. Then we have Avengers, Age of Ultron.
Yep.
Then we have immediately after. I think that's Captain America. No, Captain America 3 is at the end. Then we have Ant-Man.
You already said it. Yep. There you go.
Then we have Ant-Man.
Yep.
Then we have Thor. Then we have Thor Ragnarok.
Nope.
Thor Ragnarok is after.
You skipped a ton of movies.
There's so many. There's Black Panther. Is there? No, Black Panther came out in but no, Black Panther
Nope.
is in the series. It's series 3. That's basically like stage 3. Those are the
Phase
movies.
3, yeah.
So phase 3. So it's Guardians of the Galaxy's 2. I don't remember the order that they came out in because there's so many movies coming out then. Captain Marvel. She's not in phase. Yeah, she's in phase 3.
Well, okay. Are
I
you
don't
still
know
trying
the
to go
order.
in order?
I'm not.
Okay.
I kind of give up.
Okay. So you said. Okay. So what have you said then?
I said Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then Captain America: Civil War. And that was
Okay.
and that's the last one before Infinity War, right?
Okay. Doctor Strange.
Oh, Doctor Strange.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was in phase 3.
Yeah. So if we go Avengers: Age of Ultron, then in order it's Ant-Man, Captain America: Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2,
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man: Homecoming,
Okay.
Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers: Infinity War,
Yep.
Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Yep.
Captain Marvel,
Wait.
Avengers: Endgame.
Captain Marvel came out in wow.
Yeah, like right before Avengers Endgame.
Honestly, I think Captain Marvel is criminally underrated. I really enjoyed the movie.
Okay. So
Um,
my topic of the day,
Okay.
of the
I feel
23 movies,
exhausted. Oh, okay.
of the 23 movies in the
Uh-huh.
MCU today, I have seen 18 of them.
Oh, really?
So I have not seen the original Avengers. I have not
Oh.
seen Thor: Dark World. I have
Wow.
not seen Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I have not seen Captain America: Civil War. And I have not seen Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Really? Oh, those are some of the best ones.
So I can't count those 5
Okay.
because I haven't seen them. But I ranked the other 18 in order of
You did tier
most
list?
liked to leave.
We
Yeah.
did a tier list, Evan. Our first tier list together.
So I realize in this because this is my personal, just my ordering of how much I like them. This could easily be multiple episodes depending on how we do it.
Okay. Do you want? Can I?
'Cause-
Can I look? Can I follow along with you? Or no? Do you not save it?
No,
to the
I want
drive?
to surprise you.
Okay, fine.
I mean, it's in like technically you can. It's in the doc. You have access to it.
I won't look
Like,
then. I won't look then.
I kind of want to see if I can surprise you. So
Okay.
what I want to do, what I think might be the most time-sensitive way to do it,
All right.
is I'm gonna let you decide if I go from favorite to least favorite.
No,
or-
least favorite to favorite, definitely.
Okay. And I will go into as much detail on each one as you prompt me to.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So start with least favorite.
All right.
Okay. My least favorite movie in the MCU is Thor: Ragnarok.
Okay. That's one of my favorites. Simply, and here's why. Did you watch them? How did you watch the movies? Like, how did you watch the MCU? Did you watch them as they were coming out in theaters, or did you kind of like they were already out, they've already been gone, and you just kind of watch them?
So,
Did you watch them in order?
well, there's 5 that I didn't see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man 1 and Incredible Hulk came out when I was very young.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right? Because I mean, it's funny how like the MCU is 12 years old, so
Yeah.
it started when I was 12.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, not necessarily those, but more of the, like the actual
But
once it became the MCU.
but for the most part throughout the MCU, the way that I've watched it has been when friends invite me to watch the movies. So
Oh.
most of them
Okay.
I saw in theaters. Some of them I've never seen, right?
Okay.
And like Guardians of the Galaxy I watched on Netflix
Okay.
or whatever. So most of them I saw in theaters.
Alright. So the reason I asked that is because the reason I love Ragnarok so much is that it felt like the perfect time to have a looser, more comedic movie. It was so like it's been so tense and there's so much like serious drama that's been built up. It felt like such a nice break.
So Thor Ragnarok, as a plot device, it was primarily used to fix plot holes
Yes.
that the MCU had created over a decade
I
of
agree.
films.
Yes.
And knowing that, it functioned,
Yes.
right? It fixed plot holes. I think the storyline was almost non-existent.
No,
the
not
villains were a waste of time.
But get Jeff Goldblum.
The villains were a waste of time.
Yeah.
The humor was not even childish. It was worse than childish.
It was no, it was goofy. It was goofy humor.
But well, and then the other thing too, like they just overdid the humor. Like
I agree. Like
when
yeah.
every single sentence that a character has is meant to be a joke,
True.
the character no longer
No,
matters.
I agree.
Right.
Like,
And this is funny because actually, simultaneously, like I don't even remember his name, but the Rock character that was introduced in Thor Ragnarok,
Yeah.
I loved him.
yeah, right. He was a
Great
good character.
I actually loved
Always
him.
losing like scissors, like the whole thing. Like yeah, his is a good character, and I think
But
yeah,
it also one of the reasons, like Thor Ragnarok was like the final nail in the coffin of ruining Thor as a character.
okay, I see that.
And I think Thor's arc through the MCU has been tragic.
Yeah.
And not
well,
what happens to him, 'cause, like,
especially in Infinity War. I mean,
Well,
especially
right,
in
and
Endgame.
right, and it's not just tragic isn't like it was meant to be tragic because he suffered a lot of loss. I mean, it's been disappointing to see what they've done with that character.
I agree. I mean, Thor's the problem, and we will. I mean, I doubt we'll spend as much time on like the middle section because the middle section is like it's in the middle. You know, it's neither good nor bad. So I'm fine spending a lot more time on like the worst and the best. The problem with Thor is that he's just unlikable. He's not a likable character.
So here's
and I think they really struggled with that.
My personal thing. Actually, you'll see when we get to the other end that Thor, the first movie, is pretty high on my list.
Okay.
I really, really liked Thor. And I really, really liked the character Thor, and I liked him because he's different than every other character.
Yeah.
And what they did to him made that not a true statement anymore. And
right.
It's obvious as he goes through the MCU that they're trying to find something that the mass audience likes. And I think the mass audience would have liked it better if Thor was an unlikable character, because it would have made dynamics that were more entertaining.
Right.
So I think that was a mistake, I guess would be the best way to put it. It was very frustrating that, like, when you watch Thor, he does the actor's phenomenal.
Well, of course.
Chris
Hemsworth. Oh.
Yeah, insanely good
Talked
actor.
about him, man.
He did such a good job of portraying like a culture clash.
Yeah.
And it's a culture clash that, like, his character is thousands of years old and has experienced tons of cultures, and this culture clash is still predominant because it's so embedded in him.
Right.
But in a year's time in the MCU canon, it's gone.
Yeah. No,
that bugs me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is short-sighted. Like, they don't really give depth. The problem, and I mean, we can move on. We can move on from this, I think, but unless you have something to add. But the problem with the MCU is that there's too many characters. There's not enough time, and so they kind of just rush and patch things over.
I mean, you can make that argument in general, but Thor got 3 standalone movies.
True. No, not necessarily with Thor, but definitely when in the broader story, like, of the universe.
Yeah.
Things just kind of like, we're either gonna like just fix that like in a post movie, or we're just gonna completely gloss over that. That's my biggest problem, honestly, with the MCU, other than like over commercialization. But yeah, so I think that's fair. I would say that Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorite movies to watch, but it isn't necessarily. But I agree that's not the best.
I also like. I had to, after watching the movie, find out that it was used to fix plot holes to even accept that it was in the MCU, because I hated it when I watched it. Like literally, it's the only movie in the MCU that I walked out of it feeling like I had wasted money.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny.
And I watched Ragnarok in theaters.
Yeah.
Also, just this list as a whole, the bottom 6 are movies that I did not like.
Okay.
The top 12 are a rank order. Like, it's all a rank order, but it's a rank order of, like, movies that I actually did like, but then, like, which...
Okay.
So the bottom 6 I genuinely didn't like.
So what's next?
Avengers Endgame.
I've heard this, and Okay.
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest reason is just because... Well, I think there's 2 things. One, I think time travel is never a smart thing to do in a movie. It always diminishes the plot.
Which I disagree with, but respectfully.
I disrespectfully disagree with your respectful disagreement.
Look at us. We're so cultured. We're wearing suits. We're drinking fancy wine, fancy water.
But, I mean, I think it's a cheap plot device. I think they did it okay.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to do time travel well.
It is.
And I think they did it okay.
They did it better than most other movies.
I think that's fair. They definitely did it better than Doctor Who does, and I enjoy Doctor Who, so I'm not.
Well, yeah,
saying time travel is a.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that just because they use time travel, that's why it sucks.
Right, okay.
That's not true. I think the biggest issue is time travel not the best plot device. Like, I think it's objective if I say it that way. But then also, I just don't think that it would have been realistic for the movie to live up to the hype.
Oh no, that too. There's too much.
I think that's a big factor.
Yeah.
Is it just they had built it up, and they did such a good job marketing and with building the MCU that it just wasn't an achievable goal.
No.
And I don't think anything would have made me like, yes, that movie did what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have wanted it to go a very different direction than it did to be happy with it.
Yeah, I understand that. I just love my favorite thing about that movie. Well, an ironic like favorite is how quickly they just solve time travel. He's like, so if we might like try this thing. He's like, yeah, and then all of a sudden the next like it feels like the next day he's like, wait, I did it. I just solved time travel. I'm like,
well, actually,
that was fast.
I love Tony Stark as a character. And
right, of course.
It's funny that they almost present it as this nobody can solve it, but Tony Stark hasn't tried yet.
Yeah, yeah, right. No, I mean that's part of like the theatrics of it all. But okay, I think I'm gonna say something as a whole of your bad movies just for time. If you want to move on to the next one.
Okay. Captain America: The First Avenger is
I agree.
least favorite. And if you notice, 2 of the movies I haven't seen out of the 5 are the Captain America sequels.
Yeah.
It's because I really, really did not like Captain America.
I will say that the sequels are better. It's a rare instance.
I've heard that multiple times. But the other 2 on my list, like Avengers Endgame, you can't not watch it, right?
Right.
Thor Ragnarok is the 3rd enactment of a trilogy that I liked the first 2 movies. Or no, I
not
liked the first
Dark
movie.
World,
Actually,
yeah.
I actually missed Dark World.
Oh really? I literally don't remember anything about Dark World other than one visual of like red. And that's Dark World is very regarded as one of the worst MCU movies.
I've definitely heard that. I still want to watch it. I want to watch all the ones I haven't, just because I'm annoyed that I haven't.
Right.
But that's beside the point. So number 18, Thor Ragnarok. 17, Avengers Endgame. 16, Captain America: The First Avenger. 15, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Just don't think they did it very well. Like
it was
not one.
Yeah, it
not
was
one that like I have a big reason that I don't like. I just didn't like it.
It was a superhero movie.
Yeah,
And Quicksilver's death
really
though
liked.
was so bad. It's just a bad way to kill off a character.
There's a character that you literally introduced in the same movie.
Yeah, there's a long video I watched about that.
Yeah.
Explaining why it was so bad, but yeah.
Well, and a character who you've already displayed that moves so much faster than bullets that it's like he can walk past them.
Yeah.
So like it didn't make sense.
And then
for the character.
There's
anyway.
so much wrong with that moment.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is number 14. I genuinely did not like it.
Yeah, I respect that.
It was a poorly done movie. Spider-Man: Homecoming. If it had been the first Spider-Man movie I'd ever seen, I wouldn't have any issues. But it's following a lineage of really good Spider-Man movies.
I mean,
so
sure.
The original Spider-Man trilogy that I grew up with aren't necessarily great, but I grew up with them, so I have childhood nostalgia to them.
Yeah.
And then the Amazing Spider-Man, the first movie, was really good.
It was
really good. And
I liked Andrew Garfield way better than Tobey Maguire.
The actor who's playing Spider-Man in the MCU is the best actor that's played Spider-Man.
Yes.
I just don't think that Homecoming was the best Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, well, and I would say that I think one reason why it felt a little weird is because we weren't seeing like Spider-Man doing his thing. We were seeing Tony Stark making Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And that for me it took me out of like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man mode. It's more like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a militarized, gadgeted out.
Yes,
kid.
and I'll also add this too. I said this when Spider-Man was first introduced to the MCU, and I will stand by it. I don't want the Iron Spider in cinema.
It's boring.
Like fine for a comic book character, but I don't want him in cinema. I think Spider-Man is already OP.
Yeah.
He doesn't need it, and because Spider-Man, I mean, if the cinematic universe actually displayed his spider senses accurately, he'd be so overpowered that it would be offensive to give him a suit.
The spider sense is such a cool thing, and which can be visualized. And like all I can imagine is like what's that director's name? Like motion Edgar Wright. All I can imagine like an Edgar Wright style of directing a Spider-Man movie would be so cool. Like the way the camera would move, the way it showcases human emotion, and with really quick cuts, and like the way he like films that kind of action would be so cool. And I agree. Like Spidey sense is a really awesome power, and it's just
well, and I mean, in the comic book universe, Spider-Man, because of his spider senses, because without them, he's I mean, and if he's shoot a character without his spider senses,
Yeah.
he is effectively the same exact character as Captain America.
Yeah. Except he can stick on walls.
Good point.
Yeah. Basically, and he's like a tech genius, but.
Well, that's a person though. That's not his powers.
Yeah. True. Okay. Fine.
Right. But then you give him Spidey senses, and with that addition, in the comic book, he has single-handedly defeated the Avengers. Mm-hmm. Because Spider-Man's that OP. Yeah. We don't need the Iron Spider in cinema. And if you're gonna give him a full-on suit, give Hawkeye a full-on suit. He needs it.
I know.
Let's just be real. Anyway.
Hawkeye. Oh, poor Hawkeye.
And I mean Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah. You're like, why are they there? Like, really?
and actually, I skipped over that, but that's actually probably the best scene in Age of Ultron is Hawkeye running through the city going, just a guy with a bar and arrow, fighting aliens. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Best scene in the whole movie.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that was the original Avengers or Age of Ultron.
No, that was Age of Ultron.
Okay. Best scene in the whole movie.
Okay.
Okay. The first movie on the list that I actually liked as a movie when I watched it, so number 12 on my list, is Incredible Hulk. And I look back at it and I'm like, Incredible Hulk is actually a bad movie. I loved it when I was 12 years old and I first watched it.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a Hulk. Like, I watched the old Hulks, the classic Hulks, and I loved the character.
I watched, and that's another thing. I watched 4 or 5 Hulk movies when I was 12.
Yeah.
I watched all of them when the Incredible Hulk came out.
Yeah, because as a kid, as a young boy, you want to see things just explode. You just want to see a giant green monster breaking things apart with his bare hands.
So I look back at it now and I'm like, no, that's actually a bad movie. But it still gets to be... It's the lowest of the ones I liked.
Yeah, it's nostalgic.
Yep, exactly. So it cheats in that regard. Number 11 is Captain Marvel.
Really?
Captain
It's
Marvel,
that low?
actually, yeah. And it's not that low because I don't like Captain Marvel. It's that low because the list gets that good. Honestly,
okay.
It's just a band. Like, it's just that kind of an issue.
I was
like, the MCU did too good with too many movies.
Yeah, I will put it out there is that Captain Marvel didn't seem to do that well. Is that people like I didn't watch it at first because
I watched it in theater.
Yeah, see, I didn't because everyone was saying, "Oh, it's not that good." I'm like, yeah, I won't watch it then.
It was as good as I could have imagined the movie being.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like, and then so I
like,
watched it.
I don't think they could have done this better, which is like the inverse of my thoughts on like Endgame. Right?
Okay.
Because I'm like, they did this movie so well. Like it's not gonna be my favorite MCU movie.
Yeah.
But I honestly expected a shoehorned in movie that was a necessary plot device that sucked.
Yeah.
And it's actually a good movie.
Yeah, it didn't really have any plot. It wasn't really a plot device other than setting up Endgame to have Captain Marvel in it.
Exactly. So, like, it was just shoehorn in this new character because they need to be introduced before they're needed.
But yeah, I was surprised. Like, I was just surprised at the pacing, the beats, the way the story unfolded with the villain, like the way that it explored like her past. Like, I found it very interesting.
There was one thing that I wanted the movie didn't do. When Nick Fury got his eye injured at the beginning of the movie, I wanted it to be a recurring gag.
Although I will say the fact that he got his eye, I don't know whether I like it or not that he got his eye sketched out by a cat.
It's funny because if you actually if you had like an eidetic memory watching the MCU, you would have known very early on in the movie that cat was going to scratch his eye out, because in the MCU. At some point, someone comes up to him and says something to the effect of, "I heard you lost your eye to whatever the cat's monster name was, alien monster name was." And I don't even remember what it was.
I don't remember
pay
what
that
it was.
attention,
No,
right?
I don't.
Because but like to whatever the cat really was, right?
Yeah.
It's like how did you defeat it? And he's like, I don't, and he just brushes it off, kind of a response. But then when in the movie when his eye got hurt very early on and he could still see just fine. Like, I so wanted, because everyone wants to know what happened to his eye.
Right.
I wanted it to be a running gag where over and over again things happened, and it's just like, nope, he's fine.
That would have been. I don't think that would have fitted. I would have fit more like in Ragnarok of like the goofy, just like audience
You're
bait.
right. You're right.
Okay.
But I mean, The MCU's been pretty good at putting humor into all of its
Oh
movies.
yeah, I mean compared to DC, DC's a graveyard in more ways than one. Okay, I think that's a little low for my taste, but okay.
Good. Number 10, I have Black Panther.
Really?
So
It's
Black
above
Panther's a
Captain
good
Marvel?
movie. Yes, definitely, yes.
Uh,
Black Panther's a good movie. It's a fun movie.
I thought it had more
It's
potential.
nothing special.
It had more potential.
I agree with
Villain,
that.
the
I agree
villain
with that.
was so cool, and they could have made like it was such a cool the villain. I was like, do more, like make it better. Like you have a cool villain. He's all like just he's cool. You know.
Killmonger or the other one?
Sorry, Killmonger. No, sorry.
Okay,
Wait,
'cause
the
there's-
black guy. Yeah, the
Okay,
guy. Yeah,
Killmonger.
yeah.
Because there's two villains in the movie, and the villains attack each other. But anyway.
That shows how much I remember about the movie. But he was so cool. He's someone who had a reason, like a really good reason, to be the villain of like no, you're wrong, I'm right, and you're kind of on his side a little bit. And I wish they really leaned into him more and gave him more screen time. I think that could have been really cool. But then they went for a really bad CGA fight at the end.
Right, where it's black on black.
It's black
with a
on black. Yeah,
background.
yeah.
Right.
With a barely of yeah. It. Okay, that's fine.
So, like, my big thing with when that movie came out was it was hyped like crazy. People went crazy over it,
Yep.
and it was. And I actually think if you look at the MCU, it's because it was the first black
Yeah.
hero.
Yeah.
And
Same thing with Captain Marvel.
it just isn't a special. It just there's nothing special about the movie. Like it's a
No.
it's a
And you
good
know-
superhero movie,
you
but
know-
it
yeah.
doesn't stand out in the MCU.
Yeah, you know what's funny? What someone pointed out, and one reason I have a huge problem with it is that they're like in the middle of like Africa, right? They're a rich country. Like they're like easily the richest country in the entire world
By far.
by far. And they hide away and they do nothing to help all of the poor and like literally
Well, if it
starving
helps, Black
and
Panther decided they needed to change that at the end of the movie. That's the
I
plot.
know,
That's
but
the
like
point of the movie.
I know, but still like that
And he just became king, so that's actually more reason to like Black Panther as a character.
Well, that's honestly
'Cause
why I like
the first time he
Killmonger
has
more.
authority to do it, he does it.
Yeah, after a lot of screen time, but I mean that's why I'm like, I don't know. That's why I think Killmonger was right. But anyway,
So Killmonger, like his literal plan
What was
was
his
to
little
destroy Wakanda as a nation. Like
all I
and
remember is him.
he was-
I remember liking his plan. I don't remember exactly what it was.
It's a major plot point that he's been taught to destroy all the resources of any nation that he infiltrates, and then he's doing that to Wakanda.
That's right. Okay, never mind. I withdraw my statement about. I thought it was something else. But anyway,
so he also says like that's his plan. His vision is very much he makes it a big race vision that he's
Yeah.
like there's people who look just like you who are starving.
Exactly.
So he's helping all of Africa.
Yeah.
But he's also destroying Wakanda.
all right.
Like that's his plan.
That's fine. But yeah, that was a thing I just laughed about. And then they don't really do anything. Like over the next movies, Wakanda doesn't do much. Like,
Nope. Mm-mm.
and that's the other problem. Like, oh, Black Panther supposedly is like a great person. I'm like, no, I don't think he's a good person. I just don't. I think he was a boring character. I don't think he had a lot of emotion to him.
I think it's
the actor's
fairly
great.
safe to say he's like one of the most altruistic characters in the Avengers.
See, but I hate that's why I also dislike Captain America. I'm like, show me some of your bad side. Like, show me like we talked about earlier, like the dark motivators, right? I'm like, I want to see
we
some
didn't talk about that
struggle.
on this podcast.
Not on this
No one knows what you're
podcast,
talking about.
but that we talked about. And like, show me. I want to see their moral struggles. And that's the same thing with Captain America. Is like, oh no, I know what to do. I know what I do is right, and I'm gonna do what's right. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but Captain America is the boringest character out of all MCU. Later, he gets interesting, especially with Civil War, which you didn't see, and it starts off basically watch Winter Soldier.
I mean,
and
I
Civil
know
War.
the plot point because I know
yeah.
the comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets interesting because then
And
he
actually,
starts
that
having
was my
moral
big thing,
dilemmas.
too. Like, right. And I didn't like the first Captain America movie, so I didn't watch the other Captain America movies.
Mm-hmm.
I like Captain America in the MCU as far as what I've seen of him, but I haven't watched his movies.
Yeah, his other movies are way better.
I really didn't like Captain America.
No, the first movies, it's just there's no struggle. Like there's no like you're just like I'm watching a beefed up guy beat up other guys with laser weapons.
Right.
That's it. That's the plot point of that's what the movie is.
Yeah, and it was so annoying to me that they even pretended that like the Nazis had laser weapons.
It was just I know I'm like what? Like it's
I
weird.
can so easily buy because it's a superhero movie. I can so easily buy into the premise that we made superheroes.
Right.
But you can't tell me that historically
the
Nazis had laser guns.
And nobody knew about it. Like
that's a huge issue.
Yeah, I do think that once they put him in the modern day, especially with the first Avengers, which you also didn't see, so you don't like that's the thing, is that the first Avengers, I rewatched it recently. I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed watching it again. I hated it the first time. I thought it was a terrible movie the first time I watched it. And I watched it in theaters, like as like an exciting thing, and I hated it. And I watched it again. I'm like, you know what? Like this is a solid movie. There's a lot of audience bait, sure, but it's still a solid movie. So, and Captain America has a lot of there's conflict. He's in a modern world that he doesn't understand. So there's conflict there, and that's interesting.
Right. Number 9.
Yep. Go ahead.
For number 9, I put Ant-Man and the Wasp.
You put that above Captain Marvel?
Of course. It was actually like really, really interesting villains. And really? Captain Marvel's villains are like Zod. They were very boring villains.
I guess. I mean, you do like yourself a villain.
I do.
You're just a bad boy.
Like the superhero movies are only as good as their villain.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like that's why the Dark Knight trilogy stands out, because they had good villains.
Yeah, I agree. That's fine.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp had several villains, and they were all really interesting and unique, and it's a fun movie.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely above Captain Marvel, who had very boring villains.
Okay.
Then for number 8, I have Avengers: Infinity War.
You have that? Okay. I'm sorry. You have that above Endgame?
Like 9 above Endgame.
That's what Okay, go ahead.
Infinity War was enjoyable, and Endgame sucks.
I hated Infinity War. I thought it was one of the worst Marvel movies ever.
Okay.
By far. It was all just bait for Endgame, and nothing. Like it was just boring. I was just bored watching it. Because you know what's gonna happen. You know exactly what's going to happen at the end. You know he's going to snap. That's the whole point of the two movies, is that he snaps and wipes away half of everyone.
So you know that if you have information beforehand, but
no, but that's the whole point of you knew Endgame was going to happen though.
So that's like a really, really bad argument against a singular movie. It's saying if you know what happens next, then what's happening right now doesn't matter, which is always true. So you need to put yourself in the moment of the movie.
No, I did. Like at the movie, like when I was watching the movie, it was like pretty much everyone knew that you went in to watch this movie that he's going to snap away half of the people, and that's where Endgame comes in.
Again, you're still doing the same thing, which ruins every movie. It's effectively like if I go to watch a trilogy, like after the trilogies came out.
No. I'm talking about before Endgame came out.
Right, but you're talking about afterthought, like foresight. You're talking about knowing things that you canonically wouldn't know if you were in the moment.
But I'm talking about when I was in the moment, when I sat down to watch Infinity War when it first came out.
No, you're not.
That's what I was talking.
You talk about how I know that something's going to happen, there's going to be another movie. If you can't separate yourself from that, you can't enjoy any movie. You have to look at the movie.
I think the situation is completely different though. Like in any trilogy, like I think I think I'm not articulating myself right. When I sat down to watch Infinity War and I saw the action, I was watching it with the expectation of the heroes are going to lose. So there's no cheering like when I seem to have the upper hand.
You had foreknowledge. You had foresight.
Right.
You had added knowledge to the situation.
But So if
you can't separate yourself from that and be in the moment of the movie, then of course it sucked because every movie would suck with that foresight. You can't have a good
Not necessarily
movie.
because when I first watched Lord of the Rings, as for example, right? I had no idea. Like even though I knew the story, I still was excited to watch the battles and watch the action because in every, I mean, especially Lord of the Rings is just so good.
Well, again, because you did what you're supposed to do in movies and you put yourself in the time, which is what you didn't do when you watched Infinity.
I know, but I'm saying it was impossible because of the marketing of the two movies. It was impossible to not put yourself to have that forethought of go, I know this is gonna happen.
No, it wasn't, because I watched it and enjoyed it.
I don't know. Like that was the consensus of the people that I went and saw it with. That was like you knew this was gonna happen, right? Yeah, we knew.
Well, I mean,
was gonna happen.
it's you play D&D.
Yeah.
Stop metagaming.
That I don't know if that's metagaming. It depends on what you mean by that too. Like if we're following like a anyway, I'm not. It's not like I'm just saying that okay, fine. I'll reach a consensus. I'll say I did not enjoy it because of that, and because of the way I was influenced by the marketing. I had a really hard. I couldn't focus on the movie, and that's what made it an awful experience for me.
Stop metagaming. That's the problem. It's just like when you're playing D&D and you hear the dungeon master tell another character something that you're not supposed to know, and it's your job to not let that influence what you do.
Yeah, and I have no problem doing that.
Right. That's what you need to do when you watch movies. Put yourself in the movie.
I don't know. That's just
Okay. Number 7, I put Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
As we get up the list, like it was obnoxiously hard to rank the movies that I liked.
I know.
It was really easy to rank the ones I didn't like. I knew before I started the list what my bottom 2 were gonna be. Mm-hmm. I probably knew my bottom 3 before I started the list.
Yeah.
The middle was actually surprisingly easy, but the top of the list was hard.
Yeah. I'll send you my after we're done. I'll send you my tier list of it.
It took me like half an hour to do this.
I'm not surprised.
It took a long time.
This is what I was saying. Is that I was like usually I was like you must be actually preparing something.
Yeah. So for 7 I put Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right, that's fair. Good movie.
It would have been
fun,
higher,
but
it would have been higher, but its ending ruined the movie for me. The ending was so cheesy that I was like,
What was the ending again?
So Quill grabs the Infinity Stone.
Right. Oh, yeah, and they all hold it together.
Everyone else grabs it, and they're all holding hands and glowing, and I'm like...
Well, they explain it by him being half god.
Yeah, and I'm like, you really went, like, and you just ruined this movie by making the
I agree.
cheesiest power of friendship.
Also, the villain was really bad.
I thought the villain had potential, and I don't think they used it.
They had potential, but like it was just a nonsense. Like, oh, I'm gonna take over, blah blah blah, whatever. Hey,
But Guardians of the Galaxy was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was
was supposed to be a lot of fun.
Exactly. Which is my point.
I really,
Thor
really
Ragnarok is the point was to be a lot of fun. But anyway, what's number?
Well, yeah, but it also had a job and it didn't do its job.
Are you at number 6?
Number 6 is Iron Man 3.
Really? Okay. Okay.
I actually
I don't have a problem with that.
Before I put any thought into this list, I could have passively, without thought, told you that my top 3 movies were the Iron Man trilogy.
Yeah. No, that's
they're killer.
Yeah.
But when I put more thought, the other things snuck in. So Iron Man 3. No complaints about the movie whatsoever. Enjoyed it. Liked it a lot.
Okay.
5 is Ant-Man. Number 5 is Ant-Man.
Okay. Yeah. Good movie.
And Ant-Man was original and fun and better done than I thought Ant-Man as a character could be done.
Yep. And I mean, there's a problem with it not adhering to the idea that
to its own logic.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's a problem with the character.
It doesn't follow its own science.
Yeah, it's a problem with the character, not necessarily the movie.
Yeah. Then for number 4 I had Iron Man 2.
Okay.
For number 3 I had Thor.
Okay.
Number 2 is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I loved Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Okay.
When Doctor Strange came out, I deliberated whether or not it was in my top 5 favorite movies. It's not.
Really?
But
okay.
I love Doctor Strange so much. And then number 1 is the original Iron Man.
Of course. I mean, I think that's most people's number 1.
And I think it has to be because it started the MCU.
But it's also just so. I rewatched that movie like what 3 or 4 times.
Well, I mean, to
and
be
it
frank,
gets better every time I
to be
watch it.
frank, if Iron Man wasn't an incredible movie, would we have the MCU?
No, it would have flopped.
Right.
Well,
Like,
especially
so,
since,
like,
and
the-
especially since Incredible Hulk came out after it.
Right? So, like,
To-
this 12-year franchise
Yeah.
that has 23 different movies over 300 minutes of film time.
Yeah.
Or 300 hours, whatever.
Something like that. Yeah.
300 over 300 hours of film time. That's it.
Not counting the shows.
Right, not counting like this entire world that they built is only existent because of how good Iron Man is.
And it's, I mean, Robert Downey Jr., I mean, the perfect person to play.
If you read the Iron Man comics and if you watch the original animated series of Iron Man,
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. acts like Iron Man
Yep.
and genuinely looks like the original Iron Man that was
Yeah.
drawn before he was born.
Yeah, and wasn't there something in the comics? Oh no, was that Deadpool? I thought there was something in the comics about RDJ playing him, or I think that might have been Deadpool saying something around because Deadpool's always breaking the fourth wall.
Deadpool's not in the MCU, otherwise he would have been both number 1 and number 19.
Oh, Deadpool 2.
No, Deadpool would have been both 1 and 19.
Really?
Yeah, both my favorite and least favorite movie simultaneously.
Huh.
Deadpool
First time
does that.
I watched it, by far my favorite. Second time I watched it, I was like, okay,
So
the effect wore off.
I really don't appreciate vulgar comedy.
Well, that's
I really,
all Deadpool is.
I really do appreciate Deadpool as a character in general.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan Reynolds did Deadpool
Yes,
in a
so
way
good.
that I didn't think cinema would ever do.
So good.
And like
And
it was just
small budget too. Like,
and it was just true to Deadpool.
yeah.
And that was Ryan Reynolds' vision too. He was in Wolverine or X-Men Origins Wolverine
Yeah.
because he wanted to play Deadpool,
Mhm.
and he tried to get out of the contract when he saw what they did to it.
Yeah.
Because he loved the character,
That's
and so he righted the wrong.
Yeah, at the end of
Literally.
Deadpool 2. At the end of Deadpool 2, he shoots him.
Yep. he wrote the wrong.
Yeah.
And in doing that, like it was Ryan Reynolds' vision.
Yeah.
He did Deadpool exactly how Deadpool is.
Yep.
He just did it right.
It's a work of art. I mean, that's the thing. So here's what I'll say when it comes to, and I guess maybe I'll mention my top. I don't know. Should I even mention my topic? I don't even know if it's worth it by this point. But
How long have we been running?
oh no, I forgot we were recording for 20 minutes beforehand, so it's only been 15 minutes. Never mind.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll say is that I don't think that the Marvel movies are supposed to be good. I don't think they're supposed to be good films. I think they're
It's
simply
supposed to be a good series.
they're
Good
they're
TV
supposed
show.
to be enjoyable, and so I think that's a different ranking for me. Is how much did I enjoy this movie, right?
I think I did that by a large part. I mean,
No, you
that's
did. I
why
mean,
they-
no, you- I mean,
that's
you
why
did.
The Incredible Hulk is in the movies I liked.
Right. No, and I agree, but like when it comes to that though, there's no art. Like there's no art. You're just like, I like this. It was fun.
Right. It's completely subjective.
It's completely subjective,
Right.
right? And that's why I think like that's what the Marvel movies at least are.
kind
to
of like
me.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's what the Marvel movies are to me. Are just it's a lot of audience bait. It's the same thing like the new Star Wars, even though comparing them. But yeah, there's a lot of audience bait, a lot of like fan moments, a lot of applause breaks, things like that, especially in the later films, especially in Endgame. Even though Infinity War, but yeah, I think that's kind of their purpose. And like, there's this one like film critic or director or whatever. He said he doesn't consider superhero movies films. And on one hand, I kind of agree with him because a good superhero movie is like Watchmen, right?
Yes.
That, in my example, in my opinion, is one of the only ways to make a superhero movie really good.
So I fully agree. I think Watchmen is an absolute work of art, phenomenal film.
Yeah.
But I just want to, the first handful of movies in the MCU
Yeah.
were really, really, really good superhero movies.
Okay, yeah.
And I think the distinction is as the MCU developed, they stopped making standalone movies that were in the same world.
Yep.
And they started making movies that depended on each other.
Yes.
And they started making it work like a TV series, which is fine.
And then they had the TV series, which you had to watch then to also understand what was going on.
But it does diminish the quality of the individual movie.
No, yeah, it's
it
more
doesn't
of the
diminish
whole.
the MCU, but it diminishes
communism.
the individual movie, right?
Did you? No, yeah.
I didn't.
Oh, I said it's communism. That's what the MCU is. It's no individual expression. It's all for the better part of the whole.
Okay.
I don't know. Make of that what you will. I just thought it was funny comparing the MCU to communism. But but yeah, yeah, the first one's before Avengers. I say with Avengers. I think once it hit Avengers, and
That's
even
when
with
it
some of the
changed.
ones like
Yeah.
Ant-Man, right? Because Ant-Man doesn't really rely on anything.
No,
Ant-Man's a great standalone movie.
Ant-Man's a good standalone movie. Guardians of the Galaxy is a good standalone.
Yeah,
movie.
exactly. Then as soon as they become connected to the world, all of a sudden you're like, well, this is just to set up another, like, this is, and then and that metagaming goes on, and I don't, like, some people can avoid it, I can't.
And actually, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was still independent of the rest of the MCU, which is really weird.
Oh yeah,
to
it
me.
was, huh? Still
But
wasn't that great, but
It wasn't good. It was what most sequels are, which is a flop.
Yeah.
I think I didn't watch it, but I think from what I've heard of it, Dark World was also an independent movie.
Oh, I don't like. And like I said, it was highly regarded as the worst MCU movie, and I don't even remember it. I remember bits and pieces. I don't even remember the plot. I don't remember the villain.
Do you think if people knew that the Incredible Hulk was part of the MCU, that Dark World would still be the worst by most opinions?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I mean, Incredible Hulk, I think is. I mean, it's
Incredible
a weird.
Hulk's what
It's in a weird place.
It's what most superhero movies were before the MCU fixed it.
Exactly. And I think, like, it's interesting. And I will say this, is that I don't know if you liked my taste, considering that I actually liked the X-Men movies.
I love the
especially
X-Men
at
movies.
Wolverine Origins, which everyone hates on. I've watched it several times, and I thoroughly enjoy myself every time I watch it.
I've seen it multiple times. There are very specific things that drive me crazy in that
Like
movie.
Deadpool, which I didn't even know that was Deadpool, but when I first watched it, because I was a kid.
So yeah, Deadpool. Actually, when I first watched it, Deadpool didn't bug me as a character nearly as much as he does now.
Yeah.
But there were just very particular scenes that drove me mad. There's a scene while Wolverine's fighting Gambit, where Gambit is running up a fire escape ladders, and Wolverine is cutting them down.
Oh, yeah.
And these fragments are just disappearing, and I'm like, that is the cheesiest thing I've ever
Well,
seen
the
in a movie.
CGI, yeah.
And I watch movies where a guy uses a hammer and throws it hard enough to fly. Okay, and that's so much more realistic than what Wolverine just did.
I love that way of describing Thor. It's like, I'm gonna throw this so hard, my arm's still attached to it, and somehow I fly because of that. The CGI on Wolverine is widely panned. Like, I've seen a lot of videos of people like, this is a like an A-list movie. Like, how did they get it? Like, why did they do this? And there's, especially with his claws and things like that, where they could have just done it practically and it looks so much better.
The funny thing is, they planned on having a series of origin movies, and Wolverine just flopped, so they didn't.
Yeah.
Which makes its naming just like comical, because
It is, huh?
X-Men Origins.
Wolverine.
But let's say Wolverine, so that way when we do more, it fits.
Yeah, and they never did more. I will say though that the latest X-Men movie was so bad.
Was that Apocalypse?
No. That was Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
It was just utter trash. It was
I think
it was a dying series. Like, that's what it was.
Personally, I think of the X-Men series the same way that I think of like the Star Wars series, which is, despite what all the fans will say, if you're being objective, the movies are not very good.
Yes.
I mean, if you're being objective, some of the movies are quite bad.
Right.
If we're being objective, we know that. And if we're being honest with ourselves, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're fun.
Yeah.
And their worlds are, and I think more than the movie itself, the world it created is why we watch it.
Yeah.
We like the world.
Yeah.
And I think the same way of X-Men. Like, I love the premise, and so I put up with the movies.
Yeah.
And some of the movies are amazing, but
Yeah.
in general, I love the premise, so I put up with the movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Superhero movies for me are, I don't find myself, I don't usually watch action movies at all. Simply because it's, so much of it is, there's very few action movies that are fascinating. Like the
like
way,
Watchmen.
exactly. Or anything like the way, because, I mean, filming an action movie, like I started
Well,
watching.
coming up with anything unique is hard, right?
Yes.
And if it's truly unique, the odds of it making it to mainstream are virtually zero.
Yeah, virtually zero, yep. Because
And
they're not
those are the
passionate.
movies that are worth watching no matter what genre they're in.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And like, because there's so many, because if you think about it, when you dissect an action movie or like say a superhero movie, the elements of it, let's say like the primary part, which is the fighting, the action, right? There's the actual stunt coordinators, and we know there are really creative and talented stunt coordinators out there. I've seen a lot of interviews with them where they talk about the moves they do and how it's unique and how it's never been done before. Something like what? Not Watchmen. Golden Circle. What's it called? Help me out. Golden Circle.
Kingsman.
Action. So I
Yes.
watched an interview with the guy
Yes.
with one of the stunt coordinators on that. So cool. He's like, yeah. So this is what our mindset was, and then he's like, then we get into the filming of it, and then we have a long discussion about how are we filming this to capture its essence and showcase how awesome it is.
So I'm gonna talk about this because you hit this topic, and I know I'm interrupting your thought, but most people, I think anybody listening to this probably doesn't appreciate the Divergent series.
Oh, I never actually watched it. I thought it was
Okay.
I thought it was just a trash teen movie.
It effectively is, and
Okay.
it felt like it was trying to be Hunger Games.
Yeah, which I never
Um,
watched the last two, but
I don't think I didn't either. But there's something very, very special about Divergent that made me actually appreciate it. The fighting in Divergent, the hand-to-hand combat in Divergent is you wouldn't argue necessarily good. It's not necessarily incredibly cinematic, but it's undeniably unique. And
okay.
so it was very interesting when I first watched it, but then I looked into it and I found out the stunt choreographer.
Yeah, whatever their title. Yeah.
Right. He talked about how every time he ever does an action movie, the request is always exactly the same. It's we want something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
He's like, the vast majority of the time, I reject that request. It's just too hard and it's not worth it. And I'll give you something amazing that you're happy with. So
Yeah.
I don't need to actually give you something that's truly new.
Right.
But he talked about when he saw what Divergent was trying to do as a movie, and the overarching premise is that this is like a society that's rebuilt in a very very deliberate manner after like an apocalyptic event.
Yeah.
And this is like well after the society's well established, but that means this is a new society secluded from the rest of humanity for a long period of time. And he's like, they would have a different martial art.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So he literally built a functional martial art that did not exist before the movie for them.
That's cool.
So it's a functional martial art that you can learn, you can get trained in, you can perform, and it works.
That's
That
really
no one's
cool.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's amazing.
I might actually watch them now. Huh. That's really interesting. Yeah, because that's why that's why like things like that, why the first Deadpool were like so like amazing, because it's a small budget. There's no one thought it would succeed, and so like sure, stop bothering us. Go film your little movie, and you can make it the way you want. And then as soon as it succeeded, they're like, okay, now we care, and now we're going to control everything, and now you need to appeal to the masses. And then the second movie was,
It was trying to be a repeat. Have
Yeah.
you ever seen like 21 Jump Street?
No.
Okay. So there's two movies, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street.
Oh. Oh. I never noticed that. That's funny. Okay.
If you play them on
side.
two screens,
Yeah.
side by side, they are intentionally a scene-by-scene remake, where there's a vaguely different plot. vaguely different film, but it's a repeat. And it's obnoxiously entertaining just that they did that. And both
That's
the movies are funny.
hilarious.
But it is, yeah.
It's a Jackie Chan movie,
uncannily-
right?
No.
Or no? Oh, wait. I thought it was. I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking of Rush Hour. Isn't that Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will tell you who's in it.
Yeah, who started that?
21 Jump Street, American buddy cop action comedy, film directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, written by Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill wrote it?
I didn't know.
I didn't know he wrote.
But it stars Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum.
Oh,
I didn't
wait,
know that
really?
he wrote it either. Yeah.
Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
What a combination.
I can't claim that I actually know this, but to me at least, Channing Tatum. This was the first thing I ever saw Channing Tatum in, so I don't know where he got to start, but in my mind, this is where he got to start.
In your special little universe, this is a true
kind of like
fact.
the first movie I remember seeing Morgan Freeman in was Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
So every time I see him in any movie, the very first thought that goes through my head is, why is God here?
Yeah, exactly. I first actually saw him in Evan Almighty, and then I watched Bruce Almighty later. Another fantastic Jim Carrey movie. Oh, that's actually where I fell in love with Jim Carrey, was Bruce Almighty.
I love that movie so much.
It's interesting from a theological perspective. It's really fascinating. And
it's actually, anytime anything mainstream does anything that's even pseudo-religious,
yeah,
it's interesting to see how they handle theology.
Yeah.
Because what you'll notice is they try to do it in a safe fashion.
Yes.
Right. So they try to say something that's not right. That anybody who's Christian, in any denomination of Christian,
not even just Christian,
would not be able to argue with.
Right.
Right. That's the goal. Right. And it's funny. It's actually really funny if you watch Christian movies that they do the same thing. There's The Shack. I don't know if you it's a Christian movie that I'm sure most people haven't seen because.
Most are bad.
Christian movie. Right, and I wouldn't say that The Shack's even an exception to that. But there's a scene in The Shack where the main character is talking to the physical embodiment of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And he asks him, well, you're God, right? And Jesus' response is, I'm the closest any man can be. Which, I thought this through, and I'm like, they very deliberately had Jesus give a response that was just as vague as he was in Scripture, so that nobody with any theological position could say that's not what Jesus is.
That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah.
Intentionally, deliberately, no Christian can tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of which, there's a movie called, I think it's called Samson, that came out, I don't know, a few years ago. It is the fun. It's so bad. It's so one of the movies that we all four of us went to watch it. I don't even remember why we went to watch it, but I just went because someone else went. It was four of us, young adults, and we're watching it, right? And there's four other people in the theater, right? Two of an older couple, a couple rows in front of us, right? Mm-hmm. And we're watching this, and we quickly realize this is one of those really bad Christian movies, just hilariously bad. And we just start laughing, and it comes to the point where it's just towards the climax and stuff, we're dying, and this older couple comes up looking back at us and be like, shh, quiet. And we're all just looking at them like, this isn't real. This is not a real movie that someone made. And it is, if you want to just laugh at a movie, that is a fantastic movie to laugh at. Because I'm just it's stop making bad Christian movies. It's the same thing as bad Christian music. I'm just make a good movie. I'd rather
I think you just don't have the budget.
Well, the thing is, you can... The problem... I think the problem is that they're so focused... They're basically, their entire marketing plan is, it's a Christian movie, so we're going to get people who identify as Christian to see it. Or we're going to get parents to make their kids see it.
Right. I think the issue is what I just outlined in The Shack, that they're trying to do it in a way that's theologically not going to offend anybody.
Right.
And... well, maybe the way to do that would be, make a Christian movie that's, pointing out what you believe is theologically sound.
Yeah.
And make people, argue about it all over social media. Yeah. That's how you make a hit.
Yeah. An example of a really good... And the thing is, with low budget, like today, a budget isn't like it's a constraint, but it's not really or it's not a real constraint now to actually make something good. My brother, he enters a ton of film festivals, and it's just them in a house with some cameras, and they make some really interesting, cool things that you're like, oh yeah, this obviously isn't like professional actors and things, but it's still an interesting, little short film.
Well, I mean, The Purge didn't have professional actors, and it made like 8 movies.
I was thinking about The Purge yesterday, and I wanted to watch, because I've never seen it, and I wanted to watch it just for funsies.
So it feels like the first Purge was like by design and by intent expected to be like a B-rate movie.
Yeah,
and it just hit it off well,
right?
And so they ran with it. But the funny thing is, they don't ever like up the actors. Like, so when The Purge gets bigger, they keep using B-list actors, and so they keep getting B-list acting.
Yeah.
And they get away with it because people don't watch The Purge for good acting. They watch The Purge for mind the score.
Yeah.
And they get it.
Right. But speaking of which, have you seen the movies? There's this production company, these two brothers. They make Christian-ish movies. Like it's like they're Christian movies, but they're not like beating you over the head.
This is now us talking about Christian films. That's the show now.
Well, no, it's really the reason why it's really interesting. So the first one's called Flywheel, and then that was like their B like C-rate movie. That's what like their first one. It looks like a really low production video, but then they have one called Remember the Giant or Facing the Giants. Which I'd be surprised.
Remember the Giants or Facing?
No, sorry, Facing the Giants.
Okay, I don't know it then.
Okay, I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised. It was actually it hit off. It was pretty big. It was a decent football. It was a football movie, right? High school football movie, and it was actually really entertaining. Like it was a decent movie. If I look back on it now, I'm sure I'll find a bunch of problems with it. But it's these two brothers that made these, and so they made Facing the Giants, and they made Fireproof, and they made Courageous, and all of them, they're obviously not high budget movies. It's their own production company that they started, but they're decent movies.
Okay. So what I have seen, and this is funny because I teach youth martial arts. One of the many hats I wear. Right. The scene from Facing the Giants of the death crawl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've used that. I've watched that, and I've used that mentality with my students.
Right? That scene taught me about mental resilience. As a kid, I was really young when I watched this when it first came out. But I haven't
seen the whole movie. I've just seen that scene.
2006, so I would have been 10. So yeah, there's a lot of humor in it. It made $10 million in box office, and this is that's really surprising. Because I know they didn't spend anywhere near that. I'd be surprised if they spent like $100,000 on the movie.
Do you know who? Do you know the writers who made the Matrix?
Not really.
Okay, the Wachowski brothers. Well, they were the Wachowski brothers. They are now the Wachowski sisters. But
really?
Yeah, like at different points in their life, they're both trans. But
how have I never heard of this?
So the Wachowski siblings, that's what I'll refer to them as.
Wachowski. I don't even know.
The first movie that they made, I don't remember what it was, but they got $6 million to make it, and it did $7 million in the box office. And so it's like, you didn't lose money, good job.
Yeah.
I mean, then it was good because another funny thing is when they were first filming The Matrix. Matrix had a $60 million budget. The first movie did, but it didn't have a $60 million budget, and it had the potential for a $60 million budget and a $10 million budget until the first scene was finished.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did that all. Didn't they spend like most of the money on that scene?
They spent a lot of money on that scene.
Yeah, and then they showed it, and they got more funding. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep,
and so the misconception is they got more funding because of it. But it was effectively they had it promised to them if the movie was going to look the way that they wanted it to look. So then after they showed that a scene could look the way they wanted it to, then it was like, yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But the other funny, they invented bullet time.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
bullet time is a really, really cool special effect that people
Yep.
tried to copy for a decade after The Matrix came out,
And, yep.
and overplayed, and now it's not.
Now it's not cool anymore.
So, right. But it was an amazing special effect. And a really hard thing to pull off.
Yeah, well, especially with the technology they had, and there's some really cool CGI things about the Matrix, but
oh yeah, I've seen the Matrix trilogy 12 times.
I've never seen the second or third movie.
So this is why I watched it. The Wachowski siblings are really, really smart philosophers. Like they're very, very well studied. And
oh, really?
The Matrix trilogy is basically, from a philosophical standpoint, it was their playground to explore every philosophical idea that they had researched and studied and liked. So the Matrix as a movie franchise is enjoyable on multiple levels. Like most people go and watch it, it's a fun action movie, it was entertaining, and it's cool. But if you go and you actually start dissecting what they're talking about and the conversations being had, and you stop watching the action and you start really paying attention to the philosophy. Yeah. It's really, really fascinating. And I watched it so many times because I was convicted at one point in my life that I wanted to, on my own, without just looking it up on the internet, I wanted to figure out what is actually happening. That was it. Which is funny because you and I think we've mentioned him on the show before. We Film Theory, Matt Pat.
Yeah.
I came to the same conclusions he did.
Really?
Independently, and I've watched a lot of other people who have.
Which conclusions?
First off, that by the end of the trilogy, I think that it's been proven that Zion, or the outside world, isn't the outside world.
Right. Yeah.
I think it was. I think they basically told us in a way where if you just try, you'll see.
Yeah.
But I also Neo isn't the one.
Yeah.
I think those are the big ones that people don't know, generally speaking. But there's just so much nuanced philosophy being discussed. The Matrix itself admits twice throughout the trilogy that this is the second iteration, or this is the sixth iteration of the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of insinuates that there are programs still running around in the Matrix that are from older iterations.
Yep.
So even though it doesn't say it directly, I've decided that the twins from the second movie that you haven't seen are older version agents. That's what I've determined. It just fits to me. But there's just this is a fun thing about the Matrix. They took great care with names.
Yeah.
So Morpheus pilots the Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
Okay. Morpheus, god of dreams. Nebuchadnezzar is
the dream. Yeah.
Old Testament reference to Old Testament, a king who wanted to interpret his dreams.
Yep.
And so he sought a man who could interpret his dreams. But so watch Morpheus. And literally, in the second movie, the Nebuchadnezzar, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie, in the second movie, the Nebuchadnezzar gets destroyed.
Okay.
Morpheus's response when he sees his ship burning is, "I had a dream. Now it is gone." He's just right? Yeah. But now this character who is the god of dreams, who's piloting the attempt to interpret dreams. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Is the only member in the entire movie franchise that full-heartedly believes everything the Oracle says. He has a dream, right? At the end of the last movie, when the war has ended, the last thing Morpheus says in the franchise is this real? The dreamer doesn't believe. And I think that's a massive homage to, no. If Morpheus doesn't think it's true, it's not.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, no, I think I will. I just need to set aside time to actually watch things. And especially a long, like what is it, like 2-3 hour movies or whatever. Yeah. It's because most of the time if I watch a movie, it's on my second screen while I'm playing video games or doing something else. Very rarely do I sit down and actually watch a full length movie. Which is also funny. The Wachowskis actually directed Speed Racer, which is one of my favorite movies. Simply because it's nostalgia. I watched Speed Racer cartoon as a kid, and I enjoy seeing it on screen was the greatest nerd. Like what is it like? When I saw Speed Racer on screen, it made me. I think I almost cried seeing it, like because they tried to reproduce the original cartoon and bring it to life. And at that point, the story doesn't matter. Who cares about the story? The story is irrelevant. What matters is that I get to see Speed Racer driving around, doing his flips with his little things with his car. That's what matters.
And doesn't shoot a character.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they did it. They did Speed Racer like Speed Racer.
Yeah, they did. And the way it was filmed, it was directed, the way it's shot, the color, like the way, like the oversaturation and like barrage of color in that movie is wonderful, and I love every second of it. But that's surprising. I've never heard of that. I mean, I guess I have. I must have. I just don't remember.
Well, I literally only know who they are because of The Matrix. Because I like I said, I'm obsessed with that trilogy.
Yeah.
And
they also did V for Vendetta, which I haven't seen.
So there's like, this is a really weird, nuanceical thing about The Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
When Neo first goes to the Oracle, first off, spoiler alert, the Oracle is not helping the humans.
Okay.
She's not. She's a program. She has been designed as a way to control those who the Matrix cannot control.
Yeah.
And she does it because she gets she gets Neo to do exactly what the machines need him to do. It just doesn't work for them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it does. But she's not for it. And she tells Neo that in the second movie. Not verbatim, she doesn't bluntly state it, but she allows him to make that connection and just nods.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first movie, she tells him, actually, I can probably quote this movie to you. She goes, okay, let me look at you. She looks in his ears, she looks in his eyes. Say ah. Let me, I suppose I should look at your hands. Okay. This is where I say, interesting, but, and you say, but what? But you already know what I'm going to tell you. It's like, I'm not the one. Sorry, kid. At the end of the... sorry, kid. You got the gift, but you're waiting for something. Waiting for what? Another life, perhaps. Who knows? Then she goes on with it, right? By the end of the movie, Neo has killed agents and messed with stuff in a way that makes you... And now he flies, and you're like, apparently he is the one, then the Oracle lied. And then, if you're annoyed by that, you think back and go, no, she didn't. She did not tell him he isn't the one. She let him say it. Mm-hmm. And she told him he has the gift, but he's waiting for something. And who knows what.
Okay.
Right? And when he makes this change, and all of a sudden it's because Trinity kissed him. He now has love and something to fight for. So you can make this argument that... Right? So you can make this argument that she didn't lie and that he is the one. But I think if you watch the franchise as a whole and you realize what's actually happening there on a higher level, that's not... She told him he's not the one, but he has the gift. The gift is something that all of the children in that first scene had. Because the children were effectively manipulating the Matrix simply by understanding that it's a program that you can manipulate.
Yeah.
So any human could do exactly what Neo did. The only reason Neo was able to do it was because he had been convinced he was the one. Yeah. So he had the gift because he knew he could manipulate the Matrix. But she absolutely affirmed him when he said, I'm not the one. Yeah. She agreed with that sentiment because he isn't.
Yeah, you know what all this means to me? It means that when I eventually, spend, time over with you, we need to watch it. Well, we watch a movie, then we have a podcast episode talking about it, and you explain to me why it's so awesome. I've watched the first one, but I haven't seen the second or third one. Then we do that, and we have a 3-part series where we watch it.
Going through the Matrix?
Yeah, going through the Matrix.
Okay.
There we go. I think that'd be really. I mean, I want it because I want to hear. Like, I'm gonna watch it, and then
I'm
while it's still
obsessed with
fresh in
this
my mind.
franchise.
I can tell.
And yeah,
Very
I'm
rare. And by the
absolutely-
way, like it's very rare. Like because not all of you know Devin. It's very rare to see you obsessed about something like this. Like it's very like you. Like,
I mean, I'm a nerd. Like
no, I know, but you are. But the way you express it, when it's truly something that you're genuinely so interested in that you'll never stop talking about it, like that is for me. I don't see that too often. Like I see you like being interested in things and like being like passionate about something, but like
sure.
the level like the way you express it is very unique to me.
Yeah, and that makes sense because I would absolutely say that The Matrix is a very unique trilogy because it did something that most movies don't do. And what the idea I talked about earlier, just the fact that there's layers to the movie.
Yeah.
You can enjoy it as a passive, like anime style fight in live action that worked.
Yeah.
And it's cool, and you never have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can even look at the premise of like, oh, this machine world, and you can think, oh, that's fascinating, that's fun, without having to think about it.
Yeah.
But then they also appeal to the true nerds out there by getting obnoxiously deep into philosophy. And so they created this, and they did it in a way where it didn't alienate the general public. And so it's just a very impressive movie. And actually, if I watched it a couple more times, I think I'd talk the same way about Watchmen. I just don't know it in and out the way that I know The Matrix in and out.
I would watch that again with you, and then like we what we need is a movie review podcast. Why did we start a philosophy podcast, Devin?
Right.
What's wrong with you? Why did we start a movie review podcast?
Well, what was the joke that every single time we have a podcast episode, we're going to launch another podcast? Because
yeah, exactly. I don't know. Overthinking can just turn into a movie podcast without anyone noticing. This is the start.
We can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want. Everyone go away. If you don't like it, we don't want you. Get your ugly faces out of here.
I mean, we literally don't have to change anything about any of our branding to just start talking about movies and stuff.
No. The thing is...
It's passionate debates about things that don't matter.
Yep.
We did it.
And there's so much philosophy.
Last week, we actually had a passionate debate about something that didn't matter. Like, literally.
Okay. It matters.
It doesn't.
It so matters.
It so doesn't.
And
it's a subjective topic.
I respectfully disagree. But anyway...
I mean, you literally cannot tell me what my opinion is about something.
No.
It is by definition subjective.
Oh, I can't, but I can tell you that your opinion is bad. That I can say. And I have full rights to do so. But anyway, I'm not even...
Which, again, is just arguing something that's innately subjective.
I'll save my topic for next week. I'm glad
I thought you had already made up your mind on that when we just started talking after I was done with the MCU.
Yeah, I did, but I wanted to vocalize it.
Okay.
My topic wasn't nearly as interesting. It was more of a. Honestly, it's more of a. Whatchamacallit? What's it called? The little series we do. Into Secrets Uncovered. It's more of a Secrets Uncovered, but it would have been longer than we usually go for that. That's why I made it into a full topic. Who knows what we'll do? We'll talk about it next time, or we'll talk about more movies.
And either way, you won't know.
You will. Why won't they know? Oh, if I don't talk about it?
Yeah. Like the only way they're gonna know that you brought it back up is if you point out this is the topic I didn't talk about last week. Like you have to explicitly say it, otherwise they're not gonna know one way or another.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true.
I like the idea of people like never getting closure, so let's not tell them.
Okay. Speaking of which, Devin, do you want to plug anything, or do you just want to end this thing?
No, actually, I think we should plug some stuff.
Oh, we should.
I think
plug
we
what?
should. I mean,
plug what? What would you like to plug?
I mean, we've been working on a project together for the last couple months.
We have. It's been fun.
It's been really fun and it's really exciting, and I first see it leaking into this podcast more and more.
Oh, easily.
It will never be the podcast, but
No.
I see it leaking in there. So I think we should just like get it out of the way and like be vocal about it. That way, when it does leak in, it's not confusing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Luke and I have started a venture together. That I know I reached out to Luke and asked him if he wanted in.
Yes, you did.
I genuinely don't know why I reached out to Luke in the first place. Like, I don't know my headspace. B, I don't know how I ended up doing this because I had already started some woodwork before I reached out to Luke.
Yeah.
And I like it just very unintentionally and very organically just became a thing.
It just did. I was talking about it with someone today, and they're like, "It's so amazing. You just like start businesses and do things." Like she's like, I can't do that." She's like, I can't. I'm not. I don't have that type of mind." I'm like, it was just we didn't really plan a whole lot. It just kind of happened.
It just happened, and there was a point when I recognized what was happening, and I was like, okay, so I am in pre-launch phase of a business right now.
Yep.
What is that business? That was very much where I was at.
Yep.
And then I built around it and planned out. So I've been in the digital marketing space for a couple of years. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18. Luke, you've been
in
like
both for
7,
8 years, yeah.
Right. So we've started the venture, like clientvendingmachine.com is probably a link that probably works and probably gets them to our core offer, I would guess. But what we functionally do, and actually maybe we just deactivate the core offer right now before this goes live. That way,
I mean this is going to be
that way people end up paying us for something that's certainly closed.
This is going to go live in next month, so like in August.
So we have
probably
time
the
to
first
make
week
sure
of
that's
August.
not an issue.
Yeah.
But Client Vending Machine, and we are literally teaching businesses how to build fan bases.
Mm-hmm.
Like we help businesses build fan bases. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Which is super funny that the first time that I've mentioned this with you in a public sense is on a podcast that nobody listens to.
We have there's listens. My mom listens.
Okay,
I listen.
But like, people are gonna look at this.
A friend of
and
mine
they're gonna
wants
be
us
like,
to do a live coaching thing with her philosophy class.
Let's do that. That sounds awesome.
I told you. I already told you.
I know
about
you
it.
did. Make it
Okay.
happen.
It's happening. It's going to.
Okay, good. So, but it is funny because we didn't make this with any intent of branding it or marketing it. It's for us, so it's just kind of ironic that it's like, you have 12 downloads this month. Yeah, but we weren't trying to make it big.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's what. Whenever when I started my first podcast, my full intention was for nobody to ever listen to it, and I couldn't care less. I'm like, that's not what it's for. It's not for people to listen to. It's for me to, first of all, get things out and work things out in my head.
It's your version of journaling.
Exactly. And I get to work out ideas. I get to think about things, and it gives me motivation to actually think about things. Secondly, is a backlog. So that way I can say, if someone asks me for help, I say, yeah, I have 120 episodes. Search that keyword, and at least 2 or 3 episodes will pop up around that topic. And that was my goal. And hey, look at that. It worked. So that's why, and that's the thing.
I don't think this podcast will do that. Because I don't think it's going to be a point where someone reaches out to me and they're like, hey, so how do you actually deal with non sequiturs?
No, this podcast, first of all, is for us to have a good old time. Because we talked about this and how, like, you're like, do you want to do something? I'm like, yeah. You want to, like, film? You're like, just for fun? I'm like, but our podcast is just for fun, right?
I remember that. I was like trying to ask Luke if we could just chill, and he's like, yeah, we can shoot a podcast episode. I'm like, what?
Like, for me, I'm like, yeah, that's like how we chill, right? We're like, because there's no stress about like making sure this is optimized for YouTube and like things like that, and like all. I mean,
if it was optimized for YouTube, it would be a 20-minute long show.
Well, I mean, not Joe Rogan, but anyway, yeah. If we would have
counter examples do not make the algorithm, Luke.
I know. If it was optimized, we'd have 20-minute segments. We'd have 1-minute sections that are easily biteable. But no. I mean, so that's So
we'd ask provocative questions so that we
exactly. So we can have thumbnails that are like, I think I might just. I think I have a fun idea for this thumbnail.
Oh, nice.
But
at some point you're gonna make a beehive, aren't you?
Yes.
That was a nice graphic.
That would be, yeah. I'm trying to, because on one hand, I think there's a couple ways I'm thinking about it. I can imagine it. Honestly, I don't know if it's ever going to get made. If I remember to, it will. I
have a picture in my head already that if it's not basically that picture, I will just be genuinely surprised. That not like upset or disappointed, just genuinely surprised because it's like that's the picture that comes to my head. So anything different,
we're probably thinking of the same thing. Probably think of the same thing. But yeah, so like that's a fun thing. It won't interfere with the podcast at all. This is still for fun. And yeah, don't use this as
I mean, the difference is actually like cross promotion. Like what we're doing might grow this podcast.
Oh, definitely. We've already encouraged people. I mean, the people who are inside our program right now could be.
They're gonna be. We're gonna just drop this link in the program.
Yeah, no. Mm-hmm. We're encouraging because it's.
And I mean, we now have our business email list. There's no reason we can't email them this podcast.
Yeah. No.
Why not?
Yeah. Honestly, so like things like it's funny. Like I don't know. Like at what point we want to end this. But
this is a long plug.
It's long. I don't know. I'm just talking about things. It's late. It's not. We usually never film this late. And you know me when I get tired.
We usually film in the morning.
We usually film in the morning. Yeah. And you know me at night. Me talking at night.
So this is.
It never ends.
I'm gonna share this to everybody. We're adding more stuff. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of insight to Luke that I was actually talking through with my girlfriend today. Fun fact, I was talking about you.
I'd expect nothing less. I assume everyone's talking about me all the time. Not a joke. That's not a joke, and you know that's not a joke. I literally expect that.
This is I was talking to my girlfriend Grace Thomas about how I work with Luke. Okay. And
I can't wait for this.
And like there's certain things that you just try to be mindful of, and when you forget them, you realize later, oh yeah, I should have known that, right? But Luke is there are two different distinct ways that Luke gets tired.
Yes.
And there's a very subtle difference in the result they have. Okay. So if Luke is physically tired,
okay, everything
he says just stops being complete thoughts.
Yes.
So he starts saying like a half thought and then a different half thought, and not. But when he's physically tired, he doesn't at least do anything in the moment that makes it apparent that he recognizes that in himself.
Yes.
Okay. So he doesn't seem to know that he's not making sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Luke also gets mentally tired.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke gets mentally tired, generally speaking, after a couple hours of conversation.
Yes.
Right? When Luke's mentally tired, he does the same thing where he stops making sense, but he's aware of it. So he usually cuts himself off. So he'll break up his half thoughts by saying, I'm just so tired. I know I'm not making sense. I need to take a break. And then he gets going.
That's the part. And that's the thing, like, I'm aware of it, but I convince myself that I can make sense if I keep talking. And
it's just funny that, like, if you're tired in any way, you don't make sense.
Right.
But whether or not you're aware, or saying that you know you don't make sense, tells me what kind of tired you are.
Yep.
So, like, if I'm talking to Luke, and he's just saying half thoughts, and just going through them, and just trying to have a conversation, I tell him to go to bed.
Yeah.
And if he starts saying things like, I'm just so tired, then I know, let's talk later.
Yeah.
Because I know you're going to be up for several more hours at a minimum anyway. And later, after a mental break, you'll make sense again.
Yep. I realized, it's funny, like, you described it perfectly. And the thing is, like, once I'm talking, it's about 2 hours. After about 2 hours of talking, I'm useless.
Yeah.
I'm utterly useless.
I've noticed that as well. And
and it's literally that time, like, and that's why, like, I've given a 4-hour training before. I've done 4 hours. There's a break in the middle, but definitely at the end, I was a lot less empathetic, I will say, because I was just like, my mindset and like, and my brother, I was giving critiques of training. I don't think I talked to you about this. I was giving critiques to people getting up and giving their 2-minute speeches, right? Mm-hmm. It was a speech training, right? And the first girl who went up, there were very specific things that she did wrong. And so I'm like, okay, like, here's, like, thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. Like, gave my little, like, 5-second, like, spiel. And then I'm like, okay, so, like, this certain thing, right? And then I went through them. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, cool. I addressed, I'm like, here's a very specific thing. You'll be really great if you fix this and this and this, right? And I kept on going and went through everybody, right? And then at the very end, she said publicly in front of the class, like, thank you so much for being honest with me and telling me and giving me that critiques. And I was like, oh, kind of weird, whatever. And then my brother, who was filming it, he said, you were really harsh on her. I was like, I was? I was like, I don't think I was. And then he goes, but then she thanked you for it, and that was really weird. And I don't know if she's just being honest or she's just upset and she doesn't know how to vocalize it. But like that's what I realized. I'm like, oh wow, like I should really be careful when I'm tired, because I like it's a harmless of like me ranting and just wasting time. But then there's the part of where I'm just like, okay, my switch of like,
I think you weren't just tired. I'll bet you hadn't eaten yet.
I think I did. I don't
Really?
know. That's actually a good point. I actually don't remember.
I'm not saying this because, like, oh, you know, when people get hangry. I'm saying this because, like,
no,
Luke gets short when Luke gets hungry.
Yes. Yeah, no. I think you're right. I probably was a little hungry. Yeah. And it was very
combination.
And it was very hot as well in that location. Very warm. I was wearing a turtleneck.
And Luke taught me a cool acronym today.
I did.
The hungry one.
It makes me so happy that I taught you that. It really does. I was thinking about it. I'm like, wow.
Don't even say what it is. Just put it in the show notes. That way they have to read the show notes too.
There you go. Yep. Website traffic. Overthinkingpodcast.com. Anyway, should we end this? We should end this. Huh?
Probably.
I don't know.
How do you want to end it? Do like a cool jingle or something?
Jingle all the way.
Like, you know, like we have the fancy intro that we do. Do we want to have a fancy outro?
Nah, too much work.
All right.
It is funny. I was thinking about it, and I was like, you've never seen my below my torso.
No. No, I have. I'm wrong though. I have seen you out of that chair once because I called you once, video called you, and you were in your kitchen.
That's right. Oh, that's true. I haven't seen you below your torso. For all who knows, you could be a cybernetic robot. Be Darth Maul up in there.
I could be like Professor X, and this could be a squeaky wheelchair.
We could. You could play a young Professor X.
I think I could.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fitting role, actually.
Yeah, it actually would. Now that I think about it, it's kind of weird. Maybe, or more like a young Magneto, I think. You look more...
I think I look more like the actor that
You
plays.
look more like the actor. But as far as, like, if it was just a new actor...
But going by the character, I don't know. I think I'd fit more into the archetype of Professor X.
You would. No. You definitely would.
Yeah.
I would definitely be Magneto. No, I would be... What's like a... I would be...
You'd be Gambit.
I would though, but here's the thing.
Or Nightcrawler. You could be Nightcrawler.
No, not.
You're like, that's offensive.
That's a little offensive. No, but see, Gambit is so cool, and I want a Gambit movie. Like that would be. It'd be like, imagine the action. Imagine
Gambit was from the comics. Gambit's my favorite X-Men. The way he's been portrayed in cinema so far has not been.
No, it's
flattering.
been really sad.
Yeah.
There's a great P. Holmes. P. Holmes has this series.
Yeah,
where,
I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. So Gambit, and he's like, "Oh wow, you throw a card. You throw any kind of card." Well, yeah. He's like, "Oh
business
wow."
card? Oh yeah, I can throw a business card. Uno card? Well, Uno card would be a little hard because they're small, but we can make it work.
Yeah, he's like, "See how dumb you are."
I get it. You're making fun of me.
Yeah. P. Holmes show here. I'm gonna say this, okay? And by the now, I think we've just started the episode.
No! How did that happen? We were supposed to have an intro. It's the outro that we don't have.
But anyway, I don't know. Maybe this will all be. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. But
your job, not mine.
Yeah. P. Holmes show, I think, is the best late night show. However, I think he's a really bad interviewer. P. Holmes' show, he did so well as a sketch show. His sketches were awesome. They were funny. They were fresh. He had several series that really popped. And him as a character, I think that he just has his stand-up is hilarious. Because he's really introspective, especially on his podcast. He's very introspective and thoughtful and intelligent, but he also recognizes the value of just goofy humor. Like humor that doesn't make any sense. It's not at all important, but it's goofy and it's awesome. And so that's why I think P. Holmes is awesome. and I think his show. It was really sad that it got canceled. But like, because late night shows are awful nowadays. They're all, it's a sales pitch for whatever movie's coming out, and some half-hearted political
it's just
humor.
politically, right?
Yeah.
It's just as politically skewed as any news station.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is
they
that
all follow the same exact structure.
Yep. Yep, and it's the same structure, the same jokes. And the thing is, so I don't know some people, but like some College Humor, one of the College Humor people, he writes for Samantha Bee. Pat Castles writes for Samantha Bee. He's so funny. He is a genuinely, like, his comedy worked so well on YouTube. He was such a great character, a good writer. And then like I'll see clips from Samantha Bee. I'm like, dude, I feel bad for you that you have to write for this.
I watched a YouTube video recently where a guy who's also like right winged to an extent, was genuinely just trying to laugh at one of her jokes.
Yeah, Matt Walsh. Yeah, no, I watched that. It's
good.
Matt Walsh is one of the best writers I've ever seen. He's fantastic. On video, he's okay. But his writing, that's how I got to know him, like, years ago when he was really popping off with his blog, the Matt Walsh blog. Such a good writer. I don't agree with a lot of what he's... I think a lot of what he does is purposefully inflammatory. And so I definitely wouldn't say that I'm a fan of his. But he definitely has a really good... He has a pretty good sense of humor, but he knows how to write about things. Which is why I really liked him. But yeah, I don't...
Hey, Luke.
Yeah? Should we
do you want to do a podcast?
Yeah, should we start this podcast?
I think we should do a podcast.
Okay.
Maybe be a fun thing.
You know
to
what?
do.
You know what I'm
time.
gonna do?
You have time?
Yeah, I will do.
Podcast.
I'll put all that as an afterthought.
Okay.
I think that's what I'll
every
do.
time you... Okay.
I think that's what I'll do.
We'll see if it ends up there.
Yeah. I'm gonna put this Luke editing notes. Put this as an afterthought. Okay, and that's gonna be the end of the episode.
Isn't Afterthought supposed to have a really nice intro and outro though, like over the top professional?
That's right. I don't know. We're breaking all of our boundaries. You wanna do our? Wait, I don't have the thing up. Hold on. Wait.
I do.
Wait.
You gotta get with it, bro.
I have my notes up. I don't have the main thing up. Wait.
Oh, so you're telling me you don't have the intro memorized? Is that what you're saying?
Dun.
I can't believe you don't have the intro memorized. That's mind-boggling.
I'm Luke, and I'm Devin, and we don't pretend to be experts in any of the things we discuss here today. We simply find these ideas interesting as we hash them out in real time. Welcome to this crazy fun ride to nowhere.
Was that off memory?
Yeah, that was off memory.
That was pretty close. That's actually about as good as you ever do while reading this.
I walked it. I put myself on the ledge and said, just tap me. And you just tapped me over. And I set myself up for that so badly. But it's so true. I'm so bad at reading things live. You want to just do this?
Yeah, let's do it. All right.